So Sarah, are we still, oh, we're still off. We're not on live yet, right?
We are live.
We are live. I apologize. So Sarah, I think it'd be best. I'm not sure why the link is not coming through on Juanita's email, but it's not coming through for her. So I wonder if you can call her on her personal phone. I'll hang up so that you can make the connection, but that way she can be present.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Absolutely. I'll do that right now.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, she's going to call you, so I'm going to hang up. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Oh.
Are we waiting for more commissioners to join?
Yeah, we're dialing in Juanita right now. But we do have a quorum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I was asking.
No, sure. Excuse me. Okay, good morning, everybody. As chair of the commission, I call this meeting of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to order at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The Zoom webinar is being live streamed on YouTube on the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission YouTube channel. For anyone in the public watching who would prefer to watch via a different platform than they are currently using, please visit our social media at Redistricting MI. Our live stream today does include closed captioning. Closed captioning, ASL interpretation in Spanish, Arabic, and Bengali translation services will be provided for effective participation in this meeting. Email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for additional viewing options or details on accessing language translation services for this meeting. People with disabilities needing other specific accommodation should also contact redistricting@michigan.gov. This meeting is being recorded and will be available at www.michigan.gov/MICRC for viewing at a later date. This meeting is also being transcribed, and those closed caption transcripts will be made available and posted on the michigan.gov/MICRC website and written public comment submissions. There's also a public comment portal that may be accessed by visiting michigan.gov/MICIC. This portal can be utilized to post maps and comments, which can be viewed by both the commission and the public. Members of the media who may have questions before, during, or after the meeting should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, Executive Director for the Commission at woodse3@michigan.gov, or you can reach him at 517-331-6309. For the public watching and the public record, I will turn to the Department of State to take note of the commissioners present.
Good morning, commissioners. Please say present when I call your name. If you are attending today's meeting remotely, which you should be because we all are, please let us know where you are attending remotely from by stating the city, township, or county you are attending from. I'll call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Doug Clark.
Present. I'm attending today's meeting from Huntington Beach, California.
Juanita Curry.
Present and attending the meeting from remotely from Detroit, Michigan.
Anthony Eade. Brittany Kellum. I saw that Brittany is on, but she might be having technical difficulties, so I'll return to her at the end. Rhonda Lang.
Present, attending remotely from Osceola County, Michigan.
Steve Lett.
Present, attending remotely from Lee County, Florida.
Cynthia Orton.
Present, attending remotely from Battle Creek, Michigan.
MC Rothorn.
Present, attending remotely from East Lansing, Michigan.
Rebecca Satella.
Present, attending remotely from Wayne County, Michigan.
Janice Follett.
Present, attending remotely from Highland Township, Michigan.
Aaron Wagner.
Attending from Charlotte, Michigan.
Richard Weiss.
Present, attending remotely from Saginaw Township, Saginaw, Michigan.
Dustin Witches.
Present, attending remotely from Tuscola, Illinois.
And I'll return to Brittany Kellum. Brittany, if you're talking, I think you're still muted.
I'm present. Sorry, I was having a speaker issue. Was converting over. You could hear me.
No problem.
Present, attending remotely from Wayne County. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. 12 commissioners are present and there is a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt. Okay, moving on to the adoption of the agenda. As a reminder to the public watching, you can view our agenda for today's meeting at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. I would now entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Lett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zatella. Is there any discussion or debate on the motion? Hearing none, it's moved and seconded that the meeting agenda be adopted. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. All right, looks like the meeting agenda is adopted. Without objection, we will begin the public comment portion of our meeting. Hearing no objection, we will now proceed with public comment. Individuals who have signed up and indicated they would like to provide live remote public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. I will call your name and our staff will unmute you. If you are on a computer, you will be prompted by the Zoom app to unmute your microphone and speak. If you are on the phone, a voice will say that the host wants you to speak and prompt you to press *6 to unmute. I'll call on you by your name or the last 4 digits of your phone number. Also, please note that if you experience technical or audio issues or we do not hear from you for 3 to 5 seconds, we'll move on to the next person in line and return to you after they are done speaking. If your audio still does not work, you can email redistricting@michigan.gov and we will help you troubleshoot so you can participate during the next public comment period at a later meeting. You will have 2 minutes to address the commission. Please conclude your remarks when you hear the timer go off. First in line for public comment today is Mr. James Gallant. Please allow a moment for our staff to unmute you.
Hello, this is James Gallant, Marquette, and these are my opinions. Now, Mr. Chair, Mr. Witches here, it's pretty rich of you to be suing the state of Michigan to get some money, okay? Because they're busy trying to run the government. Remember, they're all jammed up here at the end. You got plenty of time to get this money about all year. They're trying to keep the government open. So I was just wondering how that took place. Who decided that in between the meetings, from last meeting to this meeting, all of a sudden you're suing them? But who decided what the language was of that and everything? I think the biggest problem is because I submitted to the Oversight Committee that you didn't submit a performance audit that was voted on by this commission. Remember when I believe it was Commissioner Orton that said, hey, why are we doing this? It's this commission, this audit. We did it all in public, right? Yeah, you did. But it was clearly stated that they were going to document the rules of procedure and whether you were following them or not. And it did not talk about that at all. That you've allowed it, your lawyers are letting it, not saying nothing about it. But I'm the one who told them that. And I said, guess what? Don't give them no money until you get that performance audit. And, you know, it's just wrong what you're supposed to do here. You just make it up on the fly. And, you know, you also, Mr. Chair, I'd ask you to revisit and finish the unfinished business of saying the allegiance, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands at the meetings. That was on the agenda. You voted to have that on the agenda, and it was never voted on because you Democrats, page 366, line 8, Robert's Rules of Order, there shall be no debate before there's a motion that's properly seconded. You started debate. You started actually screaming at people and being violent towards them. And all of a sudden, you never really did vote. You never did make a motion and vote. So that has to be properly disposed of business. It was on the agenda and it was never voted on. People are doing this all the time. This is kind of like a new world order thing, right? Or is it person-centered world order, right? This is what you do in the Netherlands, right? And Mr. Chair, I believe that this is just a fundamental breach of your oath of office to not follow the rules. And you get that performance audit, ask the Auditor General to finish his job and to do that for you so you can submit it and get your money. And just take out a loan, once you just get a loan and then just charge them for the extra interest, a little bit.
Thank you for addressing the commission. That concludes our public comment. Please feel free to email public comments to the commission at redistricting@michigan.gov. We appreciate everyone who offers public comment in whatever way you choose and invite you to keep sharing your thoughts, especially if you'd like to share ways that the MICRC processes or procedures have been good or could be more effective. Next on our agenda is unfinished business item number 5A. Fiscal year 23 budget update. Without objection, I will ask our MICRC Executive Director, Edward Woods, to present this item. Hearing none, please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Witches. Just give me a quick second to put my screen up. We have to notice the holiday cheer of Commissioner Rothhorn. With his hat. He said he was going to do it and he actually did it. And so I want to thank him for spreading the holiday cheer with us. Are you able to see my screen? If you can just nod your head, that would be helpful to me. Are you able to see it? Beautiful. Let me go ahead. Just wanted people to know about the budget process. We've requested approval for fiscal year 23 budget on May 13th. So we've been working on this since May 13th. Our lawyers, Fink Brexit, who are here today, filed a summary complaint against the legislator for not providing funds for fiscal year 23. It's emphasized in the lawsuit, which speaks for itself with regards to respect for voter intent, the Constitution, and democracy. So just want to share what's going on with regards to that. And I would want to thank very much Commissioner Lett as our legal liaison, who has been extremely helpful throughout this entire process. As you know, on October 27th, you authorized the executive director, which is myself, to pursue any and all things to resolve this. We did meet with the Senate Appropriations team. We did meet with the House Appropriations team. We did send a courtesy letter informing them what we were doing. But unfortunately, we were unable to get a budget approved. And so I do want you to know that we did this as a last resort because the commission is independent, it's nonpartisan, and it's just something that we really would like to share with regards to that. So I just want to make sure that the commission and those that are listening and watching understand the steps. Commissioner Lett is here, as well as our two distinguished attorneys from Fink Bresic, David Fink and Nate Fink, and I'll turn it over to them. I do see Ms. Reinhardt has her hand up, Commissioner Witches, so.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to note for the record that Commissioner Eade joined at 10:12 a.m. Commissioner Eade, can you let us know where you are attending remotely from?
Good morning, everybody. Today I am remotely attending from Detroit, Michigan. Could you guys hear me?
Go ahead, Mr. Woods.
All right. If there's anything, our two attorneys are here. Once again, Commissioner Lett, just want to thank them for all that they have done and continue to do on our behalf. And just want to turn it over to them if they have anything additional to say or something I may have missed.
I'm happy to provide a brief update. Obviously, not much has happened since we filed suit. We filed suit. We have already received acknowledgements of service from both the House and Senate. Those have already been filed with the court, so this should move along very quickly. I want to express my appreciation to Mr. Woods and the commissioners who joined us for meetings with the Senate Appropriations Chair, the House Appropriations Chair, and others in Lansing, with the hope that we could avoid this litigation. Unfortunately, the state legislature did not do what the Constitution mandated it to do, and we had no other choice. So we filed this lawsuit, and frankly, I'm very curious what defenses they will raise to it.
Thank you, Mr. Fink. Anyone have any comments, questions for either Mr. Woods or Mr. Fink regarding this particular piece? Okay.
Commissioner Witches, if I may.
Yeah.
Our attorneys have some other commitments. Is it possible we could have Commissioner Lett as well as our attorneys provide a legal update at this time?
Yeah, that would be fine with me if it's okay with everybody else. So yeah.
Wouldn't that have to be voted on?
I suppose if we want to go that route and move to look favorably on a motion to move to agenda item number 9 out of order for the legal liaison report.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Rothorn. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign, say nay. All right. Mr. Lett, you have the floor.
I think the attorneys probably have more to say today than I do. We've already covered that the lawsuit regarding funding has been filed. Obviously, they've said it's been acknowledged. Return of service has been filed. I also note that there's a scheduling conference on a motion on the AG. I'll let the attorneys speak to that. But other than that, we're just setting and responding to whatever the courts indicate needs to be done. So we're in a waiting period on all of the suits. I'll turn it over to Nate and David.
Thank you, Commissioner Lett. I don't have much to add. We don't have much to build on from what I spoke about last month during the meeting. In the Benarian case, we're in the same place we were last month. We don't know whether the plaintiffs intend to move forward with their remaining one person, one vote claim, but it still remains pending before the Western District of Michigan. And in the AG matter, as Commissioner Lett made reference to, we just received an order, the procedural order scheduling any oral argument or scheduling oral argument on any dispositive motions that would be motions to dismiss the case. That oral argument has been set for July 12th at 1:30 in Kalamazoo at the courthouse there, which will presumably be before the 3-judge panel. The dispositive motions, the motions to dismiss would be due to be filed. I believe the motions are due in May and the briefing schedule concludes within 6 weeks or so thereafter. So I think the reply briefs would be, the final briefing would be done by June and the court will then hear argument on July 12th. Discovery is continuing. Depositions haven't been scheduled yet, but that should be happening relatively soon. Beyond that, I don't have anything else to update.
Mr. Fink Sr., anything from you?
I'm just delighted with the report from Mr. Fink Jr.
Grant. Any questions from any commissioners to either Commissioner Lett or any of the Finks for what they just provided us again?
But Dustin, I just add a comment. As you can see by the dates that were just referenced, this lawsuit is proceeding speedily, and I do not say that facetiously. The attorneys think will probably, I think, and Rebecca back me up, that this is actually quite quick.
Yes, it is. It is.
On these. So if you're sitting there thinking, geez, why does it take so long? That ain't a long time. So just an observation for everybody.
Thank you. I certainly agree.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us today, and I hope you two have a excellent rest of your day and week.
Thank you. We appreciate you putting us on early so that we could move to something else we need to address. Thank you.
Not a problem. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, returning to our regularly scheduled programming. Next on our agenda is unfinished business item 5B, dormancy and reactivation plan. Without objection, I will ask Commissioner Lett and Commissioner Clark to present this item. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Commissioners Lett and Clark.
We've been going back and forth with Doug and with Rebecca, as well as Edward, kind of tweaking what I had prepared initially, and by tweaking, cleaning up some language issues, adding in some citations regarding the Constitution, nothing of any substantive changes. So it is in what you have received is what at least we consider to be the final form, understanding that we have been advised by Mike Brady that it needs to be submitted for the Secretary of State and their legal team to look at, which we knew that before we started down this path. So assuming that, I guess I think the probably the best way to do it, since it's now in its final form, is to take a look at it and schedule it for approval at our next meeting. Doug, anything to add?
No, I think that we should approve it to move forward to Mike to do what he has to do with the legal aspects in the state, and then bring it back in, and we can vote to approve it as a commission.
Are we just reviewing this on our own, or do we want to put it on the screen for everyone to see and we can quickly go over it?
I believe we went over it previously. There's just minor changes to it.
Okay.
Pretty lengthy. It's what, 2.5 pages, I believe.
Commissioner Eden.
Hey, everyone. The only comments I have about this are under 3.3.2 for the reactivation phase. Specifically, it's relying upon the Department of State and or Secretary of State to assist in our reactivation. And I'm just wondering, is there a way for us to reactivate without their assistance? Given what's going on right now, I am not supremely confident that we'll have a Secretary of State or Department of State that might be willing to reconvene us, depending on what happens in the future. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to do that, or a way to guarantee that they will in fact reconvene us if we have to be reconvened at a later date.
Let me answer a little bit of that, Anthony. Sarah and Steve and I met with the technical people at the state, and from a technical perspective, we're going to follow the normal process that the state has. And they assured us that there's no issue with that. I think, secondly, I think your question really revolved around getting it initiated and getting the work to be done, rather than having it the way it gets done. Is that not true?
Yeah, I just worry that there might be a scenario where we're supposed to be reconvened, but for whatever reason, we won't be. You know, I mean, it could potentially happen.
Commissioner Zatella.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, the way that the plan is written, it's not making the reactivation of the commission contingent upon approval from the Secretary of State. It very specifically says that the trigger is the filing of litigation, not some action by the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is just simply tasked with notifying the commissioners that the commission has been reactivated. And frankly, if the Secretary of State chose not to do that, we all have each other's contact information, and many of us keep in touch frequently anyway. So I highly doubt that would ever be an issue.
I at least tried to write it to be self-executing. I think that's what it does.
Yep.
Now, to say that we get down the road and it comes into play, will we have issues? How do I know? We for sure, if it's more than 4 years, won't have the same Secretary of State. So we've I think done what we set out to do. We'll see how it works. Hopefully it'll never come into play.
And this is something that we're wanting to take up at our Commissioner Zatella, go ahead.
Yeah, I just was gonna say that I make a motion that we advance, let me get the name right, the dormancy and reactivation plan forward for consideration by Steve, I believe you said by Mike Brady's department, to review in consultation with the Secretary of State.
I second that, Dustin.
Okay, you have a motion on the floor to move the dormancy and activation plan to the Secretary of State for approval. Seconded, motion made by Commissioner Zatella, seconded by Commissioner Clark. Is there any discussion or debate on said motion? All righty, hearing none, let's go ahead and take a vote on it. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
Okay, one nay.
The chair,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
apologize for the interruption. I just wanted to note that Commissioner Wagner was experiencing audio issues while you were taking the vote. So you might want to call on her and ask to confirm her vote.
Commissioner Wagner, could I have your vote, please? I think I still see you muted.
Thanks, Sarah. I said I voted aye.
Okay. Motion has passed. Anything further in regards to this agenda item for the dormancy plan?
I see that Mike Brady is on. I guess I would like to have him indicate where we should send this, or if he's already got it, do we need to do anything further as far as his end goes?
Mr. Brady.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Mike Brady from the Michigan Department of State. Nice to see you all. Commissioner Lett, I believe I have the latest version that Director Woods had sent out in advance of this meeting. I don't recall there being any changes or edits offered during the meeting. So I'll simply say, received on that point, and I will have our team review it and consult with the Attorney General's office.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brady. Okay, moving on, our next agenda item under unfinished business is item 5C, our 2023 meeting calendar. Without objection, I will ask Executive Director Woods to present this item. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Witches. At the last commission meeting, the commission, instead of looking at meeting every other month, they wanted to consider a monthly calendar. And so the dates that were selected was the third Thursday of every month, starting at 10 o'clock a.m. and all of the meetings will be virtual. And here are the dates. Once again, the third Thursday of every month, January 19th, February 16th, March 16th, April 20th, May 18th, June 15th, July 20th, August 17th, September 21st, October 19th, November 26th, and December 21 for the commission's consideration. Thank you.
Any questions, comments, or concerns by any commissioner in regards to the 2023 commission calendar for our meetings? Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I'd like to put forward a motion that we approve these as the dates that we meet in 2023.
Seconded.
I'm sorry, my brain just exploded a little bit. Let's see, we have a motion made by Commissioner Clark to approve our meeting calendar for 2023. Seconded and third at the same time by Commissioners Tella and Commissioner Lett. Any debate or discussion on the motion? Commissioner Reed.
When was that March date?
Let's see.
I believe it was the 17th.
16th, March 16th.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor to adopt, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. Hearing none. The motion is adopted.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
my volume must have cut out because I only heard nay. So just to be on record, my vote is nay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I couldn't hear you. All right. So Commissioner Lang did vote in the nay.
Thank you.
Yep, not a problem.
And could Commissioner Wagner also confirm her vote, please?
I voted aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All righty. Next on our agenda is unfinished business item number 5D. Sigma requests. Without objection, I will ask MICRC Executive Director Woods to present this item. Hearing none, please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Witches. At our last meeting, we talked about the Sigma request with regards to the financials, and I was able to get some additional information with regards to those requests. And the two that we're getting from the executive branch, which is the Michigan Department of Technology Management and Budget, they need our information to prepare the comprehensive financial reports for the state of Michigan. And they do that for all three branches of government, the executive, the judicial, and the legislative branch. And they have a sign-off process. And then the other one is the Michigan Department of Treasury with regards to collections, taxes, and also stop checks that we use it for. And then obviously the state budget office. And so what I am requesting that the commission do is to approve the motion that authorizes the MICRC Executive Director to sign Sigma requests for employees, including student interns of the Michigan Department of Technology Management and Budget, Michigan Department of Treasury, and the State Budget Office retroactively to December 1st. The state is in the process of closing out the fiscal year 22. And so this is something that needed to be done so we would not hold up the process. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Any questions from anybody? Okay.
You got Cynthia's got a question.
I just moved.
Can't see her. There she is.
I just moved that we comply with this request.
I second.
All right. Thanks for not having me read this twice. Okay, so we have a motion made by Commissioner Orton, seconded by Commissioner Zatella to authorize the MICRC Executive Director to sign the Sigma request for employees, including student interns of the Michigan Department of Technology, Management and Budget, Michigan Department of Treasury, and the State Budget Office retroactively to December 1st, 2022. Any discussion or debate on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign and say nay. Okay, motion is adopted. Okay, next we're gonna move on to new business. And it is item 6A, EDS, or Election Data Services Analysis of our maps. Without objection, I will ask mapping consultant Kim Brace to present this item. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Mr. Brace.
All right, I need to be able to share screen.
Okay.
Oh, Sarah.
Should be able to do that, Mr. Brace.
Yep.
If you don't have the ability, let me know.
Okay, can you see it?
I can.
Okay. All right, let me do. Can you still see it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, it's good to be here again and making another presentation to you on a new subject 2 years after the fact. So we've been taking a look at the 2022 elections, and I want to give you some of the things that we have found and looked at, some of the caveats that are there, but some of the things that are useful. If you recall, when we first did presentations to you, we had this graphic in a similar vein over the past years of looking at the number of registered voters, the number of people that turned out, and then the votes for various offices as it went down the ballot. And so we've done the same thing in this instance. We may not have gotten all of the offices, but we got the most important ones from that side. So what we have is we've got registration of 8 million. We've got a turnout number from the Secretary of State of 4.5 million people, of which only 2.66 were voting for governor. So we have this drop off in a similar vein that we've seen in other instances. We've ended up taking a look at the other offices. One of the things we noted was on the congressional race, in the data that was there from the Secretary of State. Oops, sorry about that. From the Secretary of State, it does not include data for the 14th congressional district as it relates to vote for Congress. I'm not sure exactly why, but it does not have that in the data stream. So as a result, that is low for Congress. And so we have that. Anthony, you have something to contribute?
Yes, very nice to have you here again, Mr. Brace. Looking forward.
Thank you, sir.
Learning from this presentation, as I always do from you. There is no more 14th congressional district. That's probably
well, that's true. That would make sense. We had that in our table for the 2018, so we could do comparisons. I'm sorry about that. You're correct. Okay, and then so what we have is we have the votes cast for state Senate and for state House. Now you'll notice that compared to governor, governor is less than what the votes were for state Senate and for state House. So in both of those instances, the legislature got more votes than the governor in that regard. We have been tracking some of the initiatives that were on the ballot. Most particular, the initiative number 2, allowing drop boxes, and initiative number 3, allowing reproduction rights. Both of those we've ended up putting on our election result poster. So you'll be happy to know that we're pushing Michigan data on that side. But it is useful that the drop boxes initiative got many more votes than the allowing reproduction or the abortion issue. So I found that kind of interesting.
Commissioner Zatella, did you have a question?
Yes.
Pardon me, Kim Brace.
Yep,
I did actually. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So the turnout was 4.5 million, and that 2.6 for governor, it represents ballots where they voted for governor, and then the 2.615 is ballots where people voted for congressional. So what we're seeing here is the difference between that 4.5 and the other results is that you may have people who maybe didn't complete their entire ballot or just voted for particular things. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, that is true.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. That is a rather high drop-off rate compared to what we've seen elsewhere around the country, but we certainly can investigate that more to see what's going on. So in terms of that's an overview of where we stand. When we look at registration numbers by county, and we look at what is the change in registration from 2018 to 2022, we're looking at compatibility in contests. So we're looking at 2018 going to 2022. And so the percent change is the chart on the left. That is the number of registered voters. And you can see on the western side of the state, you have some larger increases in registration. I would think that may have something to do with some of the data that you guys had and some of the changes that you guys made. If you look at this as it relates to the districts that you created there on the west side of the state. In terms of number of persons that cast ballots on the right-hand side, what we ended up seeing is that most of it was increase, except for 2 counties that actually had a decrease in number of votes cast in 2022, both Wayne and Ingham. On that side, they're both on a decrease side, which I found kind of interesting also, as well as up in the UP. So that's that one. If we look at turnout and turnout rates, this is looking at turnout as a percent of registered voters, which is the common way that most election officials look at turnout. So it's a percent of registered that has turned out. And so you can see that in the middle part of the state is where you get the highest concentrations. And certainly up by Traverse City is the highest one, over 70% back in 2018. In 2022, using the same scaling, you again have up there by Traverse City, but you have down here a little bit lower than you had in 2018, some of the contests that are in here in the middle of the state going across from Holland all the way across. So it's a little bit different pattern than what we had 4 years ago, but it does show us some of the things that we're seeing. And if we look at the change in the turnout rate This is the one phenomenon that we were kind of intrigued by. We've actually seen, this is again looking at the turnout as a percent of registered voters, and we're looking at where there is a percentage increase and decrease. And what we're seeing is that there are differences with the number of registered voters as the denominator. And since we had many more registered voters in 2022 than we had in 2018, it meant that the actual percent turnout of registered voters went down. We were kind of intrigued by that in a lot of different instances, and you can see where that took place around the state. Again, particularly in Wayne County and one county up in the UP. When you look at the gubernatorial results, the 2022 results is on the left-hand side. This is again following this familiar pattern that we do when you look at Democrats are blue and Republicans are red. You see that there are high percentages for Republicans, particularly in the thumb area and the upper part of the lower peninsula. We see Democrats carrying the cities where they're located, but it's the rural areas that are still on the Republican side. That again is something that we see around the country. When we just sent our 2022 election result poster to the printer yesterday, and we're seeing this pattern again. Rural areas still voting Republican and rather strongly, while urban areas are voting Democratic and rather strongly. So that's an interesting thing. And then you end up looking at the change in Whitmer's vote share. And you can see between 2018 and 2022, what is the change in her vote share around the state. So it increased in the blue areas and it decreased in the red areas on that side. Then we can take a look at the individual districts and look at the election results of them. So here is your congressional districts. Left-hand side is what was done by the legislature from 10 years ago. And the right-hand side is the results from year 2022 one, given your districts that you created. And you can see a rather significant change. You still see a lot of heavily Republican areas that were there in 2020. You still see that a little bit less so up in the UP and the upper part of the lower peninsula. But clearly the impact of where some of the drawings were that you had created, the third district switching, and clearly around the Wayne County area, and then up all the way up to the almost to the thumb area in Bay City. So this is the results of the congressional races. If we look at the state Senate races, these are the results of the state Senate races. And again, on the left-hand side is 2018, as they were drawn in the old way of drawing them by the legislature. And the right-hand side is how you ended up drawing them from the commission standpoint. And then we have the state house districts and how did those turn out? There's a whole bunch of differences here. But if you look at clearly from the state house standpoint, you still have some very heavily Republican state house districts. All of these in solid red or solid brown almost, more than 60%. You can see all of that throughout different parts of the state. You did have an impact in where your concentration was in focusing. And so you can see that both Wayne and Ingham and all the way over to the West Coast. And you can see the impact like in 38 compared to the 80s and the 66 over there on that side. So it's an interesting circumstance, but it clearly, I think, shows the impact of your line drawing on that side. And then as it relates to the two propositions that were on the ballot, this is where they were gaining strength and opposition. Again, if you recall the maps from previously, the opposition to the ballot boxes were all coming in Republican areas. If you think back to the votes for the candidates. And the abortion right one was all in Republican areas. So you start seeing some of the coalitions and some of the correlations that are there between when you look at the election results. And with that, I am set. I'm happy to answer questions.
Any question, Commissioner Zatella?
Yeah, Kim, I just want to thank you so much for providing this for us. It's very helpful and useful to actually see sort of the election results at a more granular level than what we get on the news and so on.
Right.
Is this is available and out on our website, Edward? Is that right? So we will have it?
I'll feed it up to Edward, yes. So you'll
Okay,
have.
thank you very much. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for preparing this for us because it's very helpful.
Yep.
Commissioner Reed.
Agreed. This is very helpful, and it's very nice to see this in the more granular detail that Commissioner Zatella mentioned. Before posting it on our website, could we just double check the overall numbers? I think there might be something weird going on due to the Delta comparison between 2018 and 2020 for the overall numbers for the governor's.
Okay. Certainly, yeah, we'll double check that. Yep.
Commissioner Lett.
Yeah, Kim, do you have some type of statistics on the individual races? And by that, I mean who won and who lost and who was an incumbent and who wasn't?
Yes, we did pull those off of the Secretary of State's site, and we were able to then map. That's where we got the mapping by district of those election results. So we do have that data set, thinking ahead to court case potentials and all of that kind of stuff. So we were cognizant of getting as much as we can when we were doing these and moving forward with those.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, concerns from anyone to Mr. Brace? Okay, I also just wanted to say thank you. That was very well put together and quite informative. I appreciate it.
Good, no problem. Thank you guys once again, and good to see you all.
Great to see you. Okay, moving on. New business 6B. September financials. I just got a message from Mr. Woods because we don't have to do that. Okay. There's no minutes to approve. So we're going to move on to item 8, which is the executive director report. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Witches. I am going to show the September financial report. I'm going to put it on the screen so everyone can see it. And let me see if I can make it larger. At our meeting, we provided a preliminary financial report because the end of the fiscal year for 2022 is September 30th. And so we're in the process of closeout. So this is the updated number from the number you received. So it's about $80,000 more. This includes salaries for the commissioners and staff. Want to note that there are 5 pay periods. I repeat, 5 pay periods in the month of September, just so everyone has that clearly. Our travel costs, our meetings, technology, advertising, consultants for that particular month, and office support for the total expenses spent in September is $314,040.69. Once again, these are the total expenses for September. We are working on closing out our books, and we should be done hopefully by the end of this week, beginning of next week, working with our Insights 3, our financial team that's working with us on that. And so just wanted to share that update with you. At the last meeting, it was a preliminary financial report, so it was just presented. For this meeting, this is the final for September, and we would just like to have a motion that it be accepted, motion for it to be accepted.
So move.
Seconded by Mr. Coy. Okay, got it. All right, so the motion on the table for approving our September financials as presented by Mr. Woods has been made by Commissioner Lett and seconded by Commissioner Weiss. Is there any discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor to approve, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, raise your hand, say nay. Did you get all the votes, Ryan, Commissioner Reinhardt, Ms. Reinhardt?
I apologize. What was the question?
Did you get all the votes? Did votes come through for Commissioner Wagner and Commissioner Lang?
Yes. So Commissioner Lang had to step away, actually.
Okay.
And Commissioner Wagner, can you confirm what your vote was?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Woods?
Yep. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Are you able to see it? Perfect. Thank you very much. November website, once again, want to thank Nelson from Nelson Lawrence, from the Michigan Department of State, who provides us this information and updates our website and make sure our meeting materials and everything is there. I just think we can thank him enough for how quickly and timely he does it, as well as alerting us if he's unable or if he's out of town. So just really want to give out a shout out to him. He provides us with the monthly updates. For November, we had 73,424 page views. 74% was for our final and district maps, and 17% were the district maps by county. So just wanted to share that with you with regards to that. We are in meeting with the financial team. We are asking our vendors to provide us with the outstanding bills. Although, as we all know, the commission hasn't spent one penny for fiscal 23 because we don't have any money, but we are asking for our bills. So I just want you to know that we are collecting bills from our legal team, meetings team, anything and everything associated with the commission. Although we haven't paid anything, we are collecting our bills, so we know exactly what we owe. We've also asked our local council to distinguish their bills from, the regular bills versus the bills associated with the legislative budget issue that we're facing. So just want to make sure that you know that we are requesting those bills so that we have them and putting them into our system as accounts payable. And you will see that at our next commission meeting. I think there's a question, Commissioner Witches from Commissioner Clark.
Yeah, I was going to ask if we could get a summary of the outstanding bills at the next meeting.
You will have it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Please continue.
We're updating the website. Want to thank Sarah Reinhardt as well as Nelson again for that. With regards to feedback that we're getting from our attorneys, making sure that everything is there from open and transparent. Those are ongoing with regards to that, but just want you to know that is going as I get information from them. We're trying to make sure that everything is there so that we're in full and complete compliance with regards to that. Just want to mention to you that we are working with the fiscal year 22 closeout once again, and we should have that done hopefully by no later than the beginning of next week. I want to thank, in addition to Insight 3, the Legislative Services Bureau that continues to work with us with regards to that as well. Preliminary numbers that we're returning, just so everyone knows, is close to 1.48 million. Just so everyone has context in terms of what's being returned to the state's treasury, what's being returned to the state treasury is approximately 1.48 million. As it relates to presentations that have been taking place, I do know that Commissioner Eid and Commissioner Zatella have been doing some presentations, and I'll allow them to share. I do know that I did one with regards to our diversity and inclusion as it relates to our marketing efforts and how the commission went about getting its 30,000 public comments and its different communication channels, and how this was more public comments than the first time. And then the first go around in California, even though we're 25% the size of the state. So that's once again a kudos to the commission and the diversity and inclusion in terms of our different communication channels and reaching out to different populations and character demographics throughout the state of Michigan. So just wanted to share that with you as well. Commissioner Eid, would you like to share where you were, as well as Commissioner Zatella? Commissioner Eid.
Sure, yeah, I always think it's good to share the wealth of knowledge that all of us have gained during this process. So in the past month, I spoke at a conference out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, with the group Fair Districts PA, and over Zoom I had presentations with the Austin, Texas Redistricting Commission, as well as Common Cause Ohio for their mapping initiatives.
Yeah, so Edward, as you know, I spoke recently with the San Francisco Elections Commission. They actually have a process in place. Now, keep in mind, San Francisco is a city, but with significant population. So they have a redistricting commission that they've had in place for a while that is mostly composed of political appointees. And they had a rather disastrous round this last time around with the drawing the maps. And so Nancy Wang from Voters Not Politicians and I went and met with them to just sort of talk about the structure of our redistricting commission and how we are selected. And they were looking at it sort of from the perspective of best practices as to how to restructure the selection process for their redistricting commission.
Okay, great. And then last and finally, but not least, Commissioner Witches, I did talk to Ms. Wang, and the Voters Not Politicians are going to engage. I want to repeat, they're going to engage in a lessons learned. As you know, they were the drafters of the Constitution. It was not the commission that drafted the proposal 2018-02. It was Voters Not Politicians. And as you know, the Michiganders voted that by more than 61%. And so I do want to let the commission know that they are doing, I repeat, they are doing a lessons learned with regards to the process. And obviously, The biggest thing that they did and contributed was developing the proposal, which obviously includes the constitutional language that the commission abides by today. So once you know that that report is coming out, I'm excited with regards to that and look forward to what they have gleaned as a result of the lessons learned. But once again, the commission did not do proposal 2018-02. It was voters, not politicians, that got the amendment passed by more than 61%. That outlines the seven ranked redistricting criteria that the commission followed through public engagement to provide fair maps. So just wanted you to know that was coming out, and kudos to them on this effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Zotella.
Yeah, Edward, do you know when they're planning on releasing that? I know it's been in the works for a while.
I have no idea, hopefully sooner than later. I just really want to have that distinction. As we know, we're trying to clean up a lot of misinformation that comes out in the media, which is unfortunate. We have gotten corrections to articles, and just want to thank the media for their willingness to get it right and to be fair and transparent in terms of what the role and responsibilities of the commission are versus the roles and responsibilities of everyone else. I know you probably have gotten plenty of questions about, what are you working? Are you still doing this and that? And obviously the commission has 2 pending lawsuits, so the commission is still working. The commission is responsible for directing the legal strategy and approving the legal strategy, authorizing lawsuits and that. So things are still continuing, but just want to make sure people have a clear understanding of the distinction with regards to the Constitution, the distinction with regards to the 3.1 million that comes directly from the Constitution, because it represents 25% of the Michigan Department of State general fund, general purpose money, which is in the Constitution. It's not a random number. And to also let people know that obviously the budget supplemental was a recommendation from the state budget office, not from the commission, with regards to that. But just a lot of confusion, going on, and just want people to have a clear understanding of the role of the commission versus the role of every other entity. And although the budget supplemental didn't get approved, it was an effort to get us going until we got to the next cycle. But once again, just making sure the public has a clear distinction between the different roles and responsibilities as relates to the commission and everyone else. So if there's any questions, I can take that, but just really want to make sure that clarity is clear.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Any questions, comments, concerns for Mr. Woods from anybody? All right, thanks again for your presentation. Okay, we have already completed the legal liaison report earlier today. So we'll move on to item number 10, which is the Michigan Department of State updates. Without objection, I will ask either Mike Brady or Sarah Reinhardt from the Michigan Department of State if they have any updates for us today. Hearing no objection, please proceed, either Mr. Brady or Ms. Reinhardt.
I have no updates. I see Mike also unmuted, so Mike, I'll defer to you on if you have any further updates.
Thank you. I do not. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. Correspondence, if any, was made available or was sent in, was passed in advance of our meeting today, along with any written public comments to the commissioners. Are there any agenda items that commissioners would like to have added to the future agendas of future meetings? Okay, seeing none, moving on. Are there any announcements? Okay, seeing no announcements. As the items of the agenda are completed and the commission has.
Anthony's waving his hand.
Yeah,
He
Anthony's
is.
trying to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. You had you in the corner and something was blocking the whole left side of my screen. So I apologize. Commissioner Ede.
Oh, that's quite all right. Chair Witches, thank you for the opportunity to talk. This is the last time we're going to be meeting in 2022, and the holidays are coming up. So I just wanted to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Hope all of you enjoy the time with your families.
Well, thank you very much for those warm regards sent our way. Anything else? Any other announcements from any other commissioners before I move on to adjournment? Alrighty. So now, as the items of the agenda are completed and the commission has no future further business, a motion to adjourn is in order. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I move to adjourn with to Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
And I second that.
All
And
right.
happy Hanukkah and happy Kwanzaa and happy anything else that someone might celebrate. Happy
All right.
nothing if you celebrate nothing.
Okay, motion to adjourn made by Commissioner Lett and seconded by Guy. That would be Commissioner Zatella, I believe. Okay, any discussion or debate on the motion? See none. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Happy holidays.
All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. Okay, the ayes have the motion and the meeting is adjourned at 11:10 a.m.
Thanks, everyone. See you next year.
Have a good
Happy
rest of
holidays,
the year.
everyone.
Happy
See
holidays.
you.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.